Hello, welcome to WayPoint Survival. Today, we're going to revisit the idea of the Thrift Store Survival Challenge. I've got a lot of cool gear, stuff that I've purchased, literally everything from the secondhand store. It's a pretty complete outfit, and I think you're going to like it, so stay tuned. The Thrift Store Survival Challenge is a video that we filmed first in 2019, so about 6 years ago. And it's done really well. It's been consistently one of my most viewed videos on YouTube. And I would encourage you to go into the video archives of the channel and look that up. But I've been thinking about it for some time. It's a lot of fun to shop at secondhand stores, and it's especially challenging when you're trying to do so on a budget. Anybody can spend thousands of dollars and get the lightest, best gear, have a little tiny pack that weighs almost nothing. This pack is extremely heavy. I would put it somewhere in the 60, maybe 70 pound range. It is not light. And as you can see, it's absolutely huge. It has all kinds of stuff on it. But it has all the camping gear that I need for a comfortable camping trip. Now, I wouldn't have had to bring everything, but I wanted to show you what's possible when you shop on a budget. I've got the list of things, what I've paid for them, and an approximation of the cost of the entire outfit. We're gonna hike down to the campsite, set up everything, and we'll talk about what we have. All right, so here's a place where I have camped before, and matter of fact, it's the same spot where I filmed the last video, the Thrift Store Survival Challenge. So we're gonna put up the tent in the same spot. We've got an old place where we had a fire, and so we've got some rocks and stuff around here. We can also get some out of the creek if we wish, but we've got about an hour until nightfall, so we've got to get busy. So the Thrift Store Survival Challenge is simply this. Every single item that I use has to come from a thrift store. Most of what I have came from the Salvation Army store, and it didn't come all in one trip. I shop there quite frequently. Occasionally I find antiques, but I also find a fair amount of decent gear and clothing, but you have to be choosy. You kind of have to know what you're looking for. Not everything, of course, is worth picking up. You got to check the zippers and the snaps, make sure it has all the buttons, for instance, but you can find some really good deals. And so, for instance, this hat that I'm wearing, this hat cost $1.99. And if you can see inside, it's an Indiana Jones hat. And so it's a waxed canvas. It's in great condition. For $1.99, how are you going to beat that? Keeps the dew and the rain off of me. It's a good sunshade as well. And then the shirt, this is a camouflage shirt. You can see that. I also have a quick drying t-shirt underneath it as a base layer. It usually gets pretty cool here in the evening. The pants are made by Proper, and if you know anything about those are a good brand of outdoor pants that make stuff for the military. The belt, it's a leather belt, $1.99. And then even the underwear and the socks, which I'm not going to show you right now, but the socks are Timberland. The boots that I'm wearing are made by Sensor Track, and they are Gore-Tex. They got the little Gore-Tex tab right here, and you definitely want something like that when you're hiking. And they're practically new. I've got them a little muddy, but I paid $8.99 for practically brand new hikers that are waterproof. Let's talk a little bit about the pack that I'm carrying. I looked and looked and looked, and when I started this challenge, I was unable to find a proper backpack. What this actually is, this is a Kelty kids carrier. Kelty, of course, being a great name, they make fantastic backpacks, so I knew it would hold up to the stress and strain of a large amount of gear that I have on here. But one neat thing about it is it has this leg back here. And unlike most backpacks, I can set this on the ground and it doesn't fall over. So this is actually a pretty neat backpack to do this with. And I've got stuff down in the seat. I'll show you what else. I got a duffel bag on top and different things that we've packed on here. But it really does work remarkably well. So again, something to consider. Think outside of the box. This is, after all, the Thrift Store Survival Challenge. First thing I want you to notice is I did find a fantastic percolator, complete. Everything's in there. Now, I also took the liberty of storing my eggs inside in some brown paper that came from some shipping. That keeps them from getting broken. And I've got 4 eggs in there in my coffee pot. And that hangs on the back, rides on the axe handle. I also managed to find a really good Craftsman 24-inch saw. It's still got the price on it. I left the price on a lot of things, but it's $5.99. It's nice and sharp, and unlike the last time, this one will actually cut wood. I also found this heavy-duty baker's rack. This is really thick. I mean, it's got some serious wires on it. And this is going to be perfect for putting over the fire, setting the coffee pot on, anything like that I want to keep warm. It does have these little legs on it, but it's relatively flat, and this packs so easy. This is the kind of thing you want to look for when you're at a thrift store. Next, you'll notice that I do have an axe. Now, I wouldn't necessarily need an axe and a saw, but since I got it at the secondhand store, I'm trying to make a complete kit. You never know when you might have to split wood. Here it is. Just rides in this back little pocket here. And it didn't come with any kind of a mask. So what I did is I got this little zip-up purse. And it's got this strap over top of it. You kind of do that to hold it on, and then you can zip this closed. So it kind of makes a halfway decent axe sheath. But this axe, it's in pretty good shape. And I paid 20 bucks for this, $1.99 for that. So we have a good axe and sheath to go with our set. Not bad. Now, to hold everything on top, I just used some old leather belts. And I buy these whenever I can find them because they're $1.99. Sometimes I wear them for my reenacting type stuff. Some of them are very old, but they're so tough and they hold things together really well. Now, this next item is something that I was particularly proud of. You need to get to know the people that work at the thrift store. I do have a beanie hat in here for sleeping. That was $1.99. But I asked the lady, I said, I don't see anything. I'm looking for a yoga mat or a sleep mat. I need something, as an air mattress, even a pool air mattress, anything I can sleep on. And so when you get to know people, they can help you look. And so this is what she found for me. This was donated. Please note that it's still in the package, in the wrapper, and they put a price on it of $4.99. And it is a proper air mattress. Still got everything with it. I don't think it's even ever been used and was donated. We also have a pretty decent chair. It's fairly lightweight. Came from Dick's Sporting Goods. I believe this was $5.99. So $6 for a decent camping chair. The next thing that we have right here on the top is a large duffel bag. And these are the straps that you put over top of the child when you're carrying them. But it's got a nice release up here in the front. And snap that, you can see that. And this is made by SOG. And most of the gear is in here. We'll set that aside. We also purchased a really nice small tent. We'll be setting that up here shortly. And then right here, tucked into the bottom, is an M1949 sleeping bag with the canvas cover. This was one of the most expensive single items that I purchased. It was $45. That's a pretty good price for a great sleeping bag with all the stuff that you need to stay warm and dry. Also, I was carrying, as you could see, this old fishing rod. This is really, really old. It's an old steel rod. This is probably from the 19-teens, 1920s. You saw me carrying this. It has all the eyes. And I was able to also purchase some tackle. But it's in pretty good shape for its age, and it does work. And now it's time to put up the tent. And yes, the tag is on it, $5.99. So it's a $6 tent. Now, one important thing to note, make sure that the tent has everything that it needs and that it's not missing parts, not missing any of the support structure. Sometimes you'll find them and they've mismatched the poles. Maybe it doesn't have the right rain fly. There's all kinds of things you need to keep track of. This one didn't come with any stakes, but fortunately, talked to the ladies at the store that run it, and they had a bag of tent stakes that had been hanging around for a long time, and so they sold that to me for a couple of dollars. So this is what they look like, and they're just kind of like a plastic spike. There is only one that looks like that. The rest of them are all those plastic spiky kind, but there's a whole pack of them. So I'm not sure what they were for, maybe some sort of a pop-up tent or something, but they're gonna work just fine for me. And just like that, we're staked in. Even have some left over. Now you've noticed down here under the canopy, even though we've got some time before it gets totally dark, we are losing light. But I was able to find a couple of flashlights and they still have batteries in them. So this is a Coleman, and this was $2, and this was $2 as well, and it might be some sort of a Rayovac, but we got that one and this one. So yeah, we got plenty of light. And this is an old incandescent, but this is an LED, so seem to be really strong batteries. I checked the dates on them. They should be just fine. So we're gonna be able to have decent light. Would have been nice to find a headlamp, but we don't always get what we want when we're doing a thrift store shopping. The next order of business, we're gonna open the tent and start putting everything in there. It might rain tonight, I don't know, but if it does, we'll find out how good this tent is for sure. Time to open up our nice handy dandy brand new air mattress. It is a type that you pump up and it's self-inflating and then you pump it. So one part is a little thicker than the other, and it does come with instructions, but it's a full-size sleeping mat, you can see. And we're gonna open the valves and get that going. Another handy little item that I found, it doesn't really work really good for a radio. It's an emergency radio. It was $3, but it's a crank flashlight. Now, if my other lights go bad, I can crank this, turn that on. It's a little noisy, but you know, as long as I want to turn it, I've got light, and it illuminates pretty good. You can see even from this distance into the tent. So yeah, that's a backup light. Always look for these. Because again, as long as you spin that thing around, you're gonna have electric, even if your batteries go dead in your other devices. Next thing we need to do is collect some firewood and get a fire going. It's getting dark, we wanna cook our supper. But one of the things that we have for a challenge is to find fire starters. They don't really sell those much at secondhand stores. I think they're not allowed to. But like I said, if you get to know the people, you can ask them a question and see if they have anything. I bought this little jar for 99 cents. And talking to the ladies, they said, yeah, they had some stuff back there that they couldn't sell. What I ended up with is a lighter and several books of paper matches. And so they all fit nicely inside of this little baby mason jar here. And the only thing I had to pay for actually was the jar. They actually gave me the lighter and matches because they couldn't sell it. So again, sometimes you have not because you ask not. So pays to get to know people. Also, along with the matches and lighter, I was able to find some brand new rolls of jute. Anybody knows, of course, for fire starting in the wilderness, jute is a fantastic fire starter. So this is going to help me a lot. Just fray it up a little bit. It's going to take a flame really quick and help me get my tinder going. It's been raining. Everything around here is soaking wet. So for those of you who live in areas where you have to worry about forest fires or catching something on fire, believe me, everything around here, it's so wet. It's rained, I think, every day this week. So anyway, let's get our fire going. All right, well, we've got some sticks here from some fallen stuff, some dead sticks. They weren't completely laying on the ground, so they shouldn't be terribly wet. a little bit damp. Kind of break these off maybe. All right, we're gonna set it over this stump. We'll see how well this thing works. Oh yeah. Beautiful. That was a good purchase. Actually, a piece of hickory, a small hickory. So there's some nice dry wood on the inside of that, which is exactly what we're looking for. All right, we're gonna start the fire right here, close enough to the tent, but far enough away that's not gonna cause any trouble. I'm gonna lay those large ones we just cut. We'll put those on top, try to protect the fire from the wet ground. And then I went ahead and also collected a bunch of really nice, dry, small stuff. You can see here. And there's a whole bunch of little things, and I'll break this up smaller. And we'll use this along with some of that jute to get our fire started. So for those of you who've taken my classes, you know that fire is all about preparation. So we've got sort of a raft built here to keep our little tinder and our kindling off the ground. And I'm going to use the lighter. Believe me, matches are great, and I'm glad that I have them, but I would much rather use a lighter anytime. Kind of roll that over. We take our smallest twigs, put them in there, and let that get burning. All right, we got our fire going. I'll continue to build it. We'll get back with you in a little bit. All right, there you can see, got a good fire going, and we're just breaking up some more stuff here by hand, and we can obviously go ahead and get some more wood. There's plenty around here. Even though it's slightly damp, we've got a hot enough base that we can keep this fire going and get some bigger stuff going here shortly too. So I'll just keep building the fire. All right, we've got the camp set up. The tent's looking pretty good and the fire's burning well. We've got our chair set up over here, getting smoked out right now, but kind of makes the flashlight look pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, so we're getting ready to cook some supper and let that fire burn down a little bit, and I'll show you some of the other stuff that I brought. You can see the wood we've got here, and then we've got a nice pile of extra firewood right here. So enough for this evening, and then I put some dry tinder in the tent as well for the morning. So one of the things that you want to look for when you are shopping for a frying pan, for instance, I like to get these that have the metal handle. You can see that. It's been over a fire or heat quite a bit. It is kind of a heavy pan. It's actually a Martha Stewart 8-inch frying pan. But I look for them to have this hollow handle like this, and you can take a bit of a stick, whittle off the top of it where it's flat, and by sticking it in there like that, and then give it a couple of firm taps, and you can hit it on the ground or on one of your logs or something if you want. And we make a really nice long handle then for our frying pan, so we can reach out over the fire and do some cooking. Now you might wonder, what did I chop that with? Did I use the axe? No, I found a knife, and it's an old butcher knife. Of course, they don't come with a sheath, but I found this wallet, and so this wallet was leather. It was $1.99, and of course I can keep various things in here, but it fits really good inside one of the slots, and it was $3. So I did sharpen it, but that makes me a really good chopper. It's heavy duty, it's full tang. You really couldn't want much better. And again, what a great thing to find at a secondhand store. And you can just zip this shut on top of it, and it makes a pretty handy little sheath. And actually, I take that back. I paid $5.99 for this because it's leather, but I wanted something that would hold my blade securely while I pack it away. All right, a few more things to show you. I bought this leather bag here, and it was actually $7, but I was able to find some silverware. Found this ring. Here's a steak knife, still had the paper on it, and then a lightweight fork and spoon, stainless steel. Again, it can ride right here in the front pocket. And what I like about this bag is that it's a perfect size for my skillet. When I take the stick out, I can carry it, and even has a little bit of a snap here that I can snap shut. There we go. And so with that handle removed, it's just a great little way to carry a skillet without getting everything sooty from your cook fire. Gloves are very important when you're camping, and I got this pair of gloves for $3, $2.99, and I think they're brand new. I'm pretty sure they've never been used. So this is going to be helpful for working around the fire as well as gathering firewood. We don't have a lot of mosquitoes out yet, but there are plenty of spiders and things like that. There we go, heavy duty gloves. All right, so we've got a couple of logs here, and we can kind of pull them a little closer together. We want to make sure that our grate will fit across here and into the coals. Remember, you cook over coals. You don't cook over flame because you'll burn everything. So we've got that set up good. Go ahead and take these gloves off. Let that rack heat up a little bit. I did wash everything, but it's always good to let everything burn off. If there's any kind of residue or whatever, it's always good to let that come to heat. All right, we'll get ready to do some cooking here with our nice long-handled pan. And I did want to explain that I drilled some holes in the silverware. They didn't come with holes in them. But I have some butter here in a $1.99 packet, and then I have some steak. And I bought both of these, this little set here at the secondhand store, like I said. So it's $4 for that, to keep my food from leaking all over the place and to have a nice supper over the fire here. I'm gonna put some butter in here and get this pan nice and greased. There we go. Right there, and get that nice and hot. Now when you do have a long handle like this, sometimes you need to prop it up with something in the back. All right, so you can see we've got our butter nicely heated up there, and here's my Y stick that I put back here that holds the long handle. Otherwise it will tilt back and your butter and everything will slide out. Got some nice steak here I'm gonna put on. Oh, that looks delicious. I believe it's going to take up about the whole pan. It'll cook down some. That's a perfect size. I was also able to find a nice heavy-duty pair of stainless steel tongs for flipping the meat. This is also useful for grabbing a hold of hot embers and moving things around in your fire. And it actually had a nice little hook on it. So slide that down, keep it shut, makes it easy to pack. But this is something that you can look for. It's not very heavy, and it really works well when you're cooking over an open fire. Keep your hand out of everything, doesn't get too hot, and again, it's just a very handy tool. All right, it is nicely done, both sides. Look at that. That is perfect. And these pans work extremely well over a campfire. They're not the lightest, but they do work really, really good. So look for these. I also bought a nice little glass bottle with a screw top lid, and I put some salt in here so that we can put a little salt on our meat there. Not too much. I'll make sure that it's well seasoned. All right, we've got plenty for breakfast then. Time to eat. Now you might be wondering, you found all of this stuff for eating. What about something to drink? Well, I happen to find 2 great Nalgene bottles, BPA free, washed them out. So we've got plenty of water, got the creek behind us, and we can always boil more if we need. But since this is just an overnight, this ought to do us pretty well. All right, let's get us some food in our stomach here. I'm gonna take this apart so we can get our knife and fork off. There we go. And we're going to use this nice leather thing here on our lap and a glove. Let's see if we get the left glove here. And this is what we're going to use on the lap to keep from getting burnt. All right. There we go. Boy, that looks delicious. All right. Of course, we always need to be properly thankful. It's time to dig in. That's really good. I haven't had a whole lot to eat today. Well, I'm going to finish this steak and I'll get back with you. All right, we got the flashlight turned on in there, and here's the duffel bag. And there's some clothes, sleeping bag and mat. And then over in the corner, you can see over there, got the pack and the axe. Everything's looking pretty good. Everything kind of squirreled away and tidied for the night. And we've got the fire banked for the night. So everything's looking pretty good. Got some heavier logs on there. And even if it goes out, like I said, we have some tinder stashed away for the morning inside the tent. Well, it's time for me to go to bed. Had a good supper. We got the tent all squared away. Everything looked good for the night. Got the fire banked. And then tomorrow, I want to show you all the stuff that goes together to make up this entire kit. We've only showed you a part of it tonight. There's some really great items in here that I think you're going to like, but we'll wait till the morning when we have a lot better light. You can see it then. Got to take the old muddy boots off here before we climb in the tent. And make sure and set them to one side here where we won't get any mud on anything, but where we can get ready to get out if we need to. And something I always do is I always like to stick my shoelaces down inside of my boots. I open them up real good, and that way I can just slip them on in the middle of the night if I need to use a restroom or something. Makes it easy for me to just go ahead and get them boots on and get out and come right back without having to lace them up. It all sounds good, but I have to put up the camera light, everything else before I can go to bed. It's the joy of filming in the wilderness. Well, good morning. Good night's rest. Slept pretty good. Didn't get any rain, so that's good, but had a heavy dew, and yeah, sleeping bag's not too bad. Pretty comfortable. Good sleeping mat. Did well. Time to get up and at 'em. All right. Well, the fire's out, but it's still got some heat in it. And it's actually starting to sprinkle rain right now, so probably want to try to get this going again before we get too much. All right, get these coals scraped up together and see if we can't get our fire going again this morning. Oh yeah, good coals. Well, like I said, it started to sprinkle rain, and one of the things that I got for $2.99, really small and compact umbrella. So get this open. There we go. So at least now, if we need to do some stuff, if the rain gets too heavy, couldn't really find any proper rain gear, but this right here will do pretty well if it does more than just sprinkle. So right now I'm just going to put this over by the chair, help keep it dry, and hopefully it won't rain too much. and I'm going to work on the fire. What I've got here, some of the bundle of twigs. It's only about half of them that I gathered last night that was real dry. Definitely always something you want to do before you go to bed at night. Always like to take and put the burnt ends into the fire, and because they're already charred, so they will tend to catch fire first. And then couple that with some of these twigs. Alright, so we'll do that, and hopefully, like I said, it won't rain too much and put the fire out. But I'm going to go ahead and pile more. I've got some more sticks here. I'm going to make a little larger pile on top, and it will actually help as a roof to shed some of the rain. Now, if you had some old bark or something like that you could find, that would also be helpful. But what we're trying to do is just preserve the bed of coals. It's not real big, but what we've got down in under. I did get up once last night, early this morning, and fed it, so it burned most of the night. Well, this is my current view at the moment. I've got this flap open here, and then one behind me. I don't know if you could hear that loud clap of thunder. Look out through the screen here. I've got the fire covered up, got some bark on it, and rain is coming down. So I'm just going to have to wait till the rain stops and make my breakfast then, whenever that is. It's the joy of camping. So far, tent seems to be doing pretty well. All right, well, I think the rain is just about over. Look out at the creek. Don't see a whole lot of raindrops anymore. But the bark over top of the fire and the wood stacked as it was kept it from the rain. And we're going to have a nice fire here in just a little bit. Get burnt down to some coals so we can cook breakfast. All right, well, the rain has stopped and looks like we're going to have some clear weather ahead. So we've got the fire kind of spread out, got burnt down to some good bed of coals again. And so I'm going to get out the frying pan and show you what we have for breakfast. Now, of course, this isn't from the secondhand store. You can't get food from the secondhand store. But we were able to get a really nice, older Echo. Nice little can opener here. So, fairly lightweight. Also has the bottle opener attachment if you should need that. But anyway, something nice to keep and have, and lightweight. We do have a spatula, and yeah, I'm not sure the brand of it, but it's nice stainless steel spatula, decent handle, decent length for the eggs. Stainless steel bowl to put everything in when we're done so we can eat. And then a stainless steel mug. Happy camper. So that'll be me once I get some coffee and some victuals in me after this morning rain. And one more thing, you know, when you're out and about, sometimes you have to use the restroom. I found this little shovel kit for $6. Even has a little compass in the handle. You all probably are familiar with this. So you can use it like this as an entrenching tool, or you can open this up and screw this down. You use that end or this end, screw that in to tighten everything. And now we have a nice little digging trowel. It also has a bottle opener on it and a little bit of a saw, but that's really not worth much. But anyway, so yeah, so cheap. This is not high quality stuff, but when you're buying things from the secondhand store, just finding something like this is pretty cool. So while I'm waiting for the fire to burn down to coals a little bit better, still got a little bit too much fire there, I did get 2 of these canned heat. They're brand new, $1.99. This was in case I couldn't get a fire started. I could just put some wood on either side. I could actually light one or both of these for a double burner for the frying pan. This was my backup fire plan in case it was too wet. I ended up not needing it, was able to use my skills to keep the fire going, but this is a great backup, and you know, you'll get a couple hours out of each one of these depending on how much you use them. I also bought a small jar that I have my coffee in, nice sealed lid, and has a gasket on it, so it's not going to get any moisture in there. That's really important when you're camping. I showed you the little trowel earlier. I did bring a little bit of toilet paper, so obviously that's not used. But always got to have that, of course, if you're going to have a trowel. I did find a small emergency poncho, and let's see here. What's funny is it was $1.29 originally, but I ended up paying $1.99 for it. So, but I thought worst case scenario, if it really gets bad, I could either use this for me, or of course you can use this over top of your pile of firewood. It just depends. Ended up not being bad last night, and this morning it only rained for maybe an hour and a half. So it wasn't bad enough. It wasn't a super heavy rain. So I ended up not needing this, but this is a handy little item to have. And last but not least, for my morning ablutions, I got this little pack here, Ohio Commission on Minority Health. So this was given out as a freebie to one of the minority communities, and evidently they didn't want it. But inside, and it's still got the sticker on it. There we go. Just dropped the toothpaste. Got a little tiny tube of Colgate toothpaste, a comb, disposable razor, a folding toothbrush. It's got this cap on it, and this other one is a tube of shaving cream. So if you can get a hold of something like this, these are pretty handy, and it's pretty well put together. Fits all inside of this little tube, and I only paid $1.99. So this is actually something that I would use camping all the time anyway. Of course, the comb's not going to wear out, and you can always find little tubes of toothpaste in different places, little travel things. The razor will be easy to replace. The toothbrush can be used many times. Just boil it a little bit if you want to clean it out. But yeah, this is something that I would definitely hang on to and reuse. One of the things that happens when you find donated items at a thrift store is you'll often find things like this sleeping bag stuff sack that didn't have the sleeping bag with it, and it was just hanging up over in a corner somewhere. And so I think I paid a couple dollars for it, but I used this as my pillow last night, so I had something somewhat soft to sleep on. And inside here, in case it got cold, because I didn't know what the weather was going to do, and we're still in spring, so it can get really chilly at night, but I have a really nice jacket with a hood on it. I also picked up a thermal shirt. So this is like polypropylene. It has like a fleece liner inside of it. That was, again, if I got cold at night. And then just in case I needed to change my socks out, extra pair of wool socks. I don't see a brand on these, but they're pretty decent. They're in good shape. So these are always something that I have. And since it's just an overnight, I don't have a whole lot of other undergarments or anything. It's just an overnight. Try this out, see what it looks like, see what I can do with thrift store stuff. One other fire starter that I brought with me just in case is this right here. This is something you put around your neck. I think older folks use it for projects and things. It has a smaller magnifying lens right here, but in case it was bright sunlight and you needed to make a fire and you didn't want to use up the matches or lighter, it's always good to have something like this as a forever fire starter. So look for things like this. This is a good survival item. It is plastic, so you want to be careful not to get it scratched up, but it's pretty powerful, as you can see. So anyway, so I've been cutting on some wood here with the bow saw. I want to split some down with the axe, try to see if I can get some dry inner wood after I do my breakfast and build my fire back up. Might have some dry stuff in there. All right, not too bad. I've been keeping the saw hung on the tree here. Put it right up here on a little branch. It stays up there pretty good. And then on another branch on this side is where I have my cooking grate from last night. It's a good idea to find something like that, and it's not something that has to stay dry, so on the tree it goes. The axe with my improvised sheath. Unzip that, pull it out. And if I need to resharpen it for 99 cents, got a nice fine Craftsman file. So came with its own little holder, and so for something like that I'll pay 99 cents anytime. Go with my $20 axe. And the nice thing about this axe is it has a really decent handle. It's a nice straight grain and it's not all beat up, so somebody has taken good care of it. And this is a Barco brand. You can just barely see the name there, but yeah, split some wood. Got an old stump here on the ground, and we're going to use that to try to split wood. It's pretty pithy itself, but hopefully it'll provide enough of a solid surface that we can split without damaging the axe. It has a really nice bit on it, and like I said, I did sharpen it before I came out here, but you never want to chop wood when you are on top of rocks or dirt or anything like that, because you split through it, it hits a rock, messes up the blade, and then you're spending a lot of time and filing away a lot of necessary material on your bit just because you were foolish enough to not chop onto something soft, which is why you always want to use an old stump or another piece of wood or something underneath what you're splitting. And there is some dry wood in here, so having an axe or a hatchet in a situation like this, very important. Still have our little Y stick from last night, and that's just going to help keep the handle nice and level. Now let's make some coffee. One of the handiest things about having a chair is, because I kept it in the tent last night, it provides a dry space for me to stage my items as well as a place to sit. And when I'm done with this, I'll put everything back in the tent that I'm not using. So when it comes to my coffee, I like it fairly strong. So I'll use a heaping teaspoon per cup, and we'll put enough coffee in there for 3 cups, something like that. And then another one for good measure. Strong coffee is always good. All right, let's put it on the grate next to our frying pan. So because this is a late breakfast, and because this is what I want to eat anyway, I'm going to do beef and eggs together. See how this can opener works. Let's set it down here on this log. Well, works great. Sometimes you get these old can openers and they're kind of wore out and they don't want to spin right, but it looks like this one is in prime condition. Even lifts the lid a little bit at the end. Oh my, doesn't that look delicious? Into the pan it goes. That's going to be quite a meal in and of itself. I may have to pour out some of this liquid, but it doesn't look like it. I think it'll hold it just fine. But that's another reason why I have the stainless steel bowl, because I can then put this in it and then cook the eggs. All right, as you can see, it's bubbling nicely, and we're going to transfer it into our bowl. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it down here close to the fire where it can stay warm, but where it won't get too hot. It's just near the fire, and then I'm going to be cooking my eggs. Oh, that one stayed intact. Well, that's looking pretty good. They're cooking pretty quickly. I'll make sure they don't stick too badly to the bottom. They might anyway. Sometimes these stainless steel pans, you don't get them greased enough. I tried to put enough butter in there. I think that did pretty good. And there it starts to thunder again. I don't know if you can hear that on the camera or not, but I don't think Mother Nature's done with us yet today. Hopefully we can get this cooked. Oh, and that yolk broke as well. Oh well, could be worse things. All right, let that keep on cooking. The eggs are looking nice and cooked. I just flipped them over a little bit ago, and I believe we're about ready to eat. Coffee's about ready. Well, those eggs look wonderful. I think we'll eat them first, since we are kind of keeping that meat warm. Got our fork out here, and the leather bag for our lap. All right, it's time to return thanks. Almost forgot, I need to put some salt on here. I don't know about you, but I am not fond of my eggs without salt. And especially I've been out cutting wood and sweating and different things, so I'll make sure we get enough on here. All right, that is plenty. Got enough for the next time. And then some. Yeah, that's perfect. And you know, in spite of the weather, everything's muddy and all of that, this is still really pleasant. Okay, so while we're waiting for the coffee to finish percolating and eat the beef, I thought I'd go over this list. I'll show you what it looks like here. I'll put it up close so maybe you can kind of see. You can pause it right there and zoom in on it a little bit. All right, so let me read the list. Under clothing, underwear 50 cents, t-shirt $1.50, camo shirt $3, socks 4 pair. I actually got 4 pairs for $1, so I'm only wearing one. I got an extra one in there. Let's see, the pants $5.99, boots $8.99, jacket $3.99, fleece hoodie was $2.99, and the leather gloves were $2.99, and then the poncho was $1.99. So the total for the clothes was $34.93. So less than $35 for an entire camping outfit of clothes. For cooking, the sterno cans $1.99, frying pan $1.99, leather bag for pan $6.99, stainless steel bowl 99 cents, percolator $5.99. Stainless steel coffee cup, 99 cents. Can opener, 99 cents. Butcher knife, $2.99. Wallet for the knife, $5.99. Spatula, $1.99. Tongs, $1.99. Cooking rack, 99 cents. Silverware, 99 cents. Steak knife, 99 cents. Salt jar, 99 cents. Ring for the silverware, 50 cents. Nalgene bottles, 2 of them, they were $1.99 a piece. Coffee jar was 50 cents. And the food containers, $3.98, bringing a total together for our cooking of $45.81. Now for sleeping, it's our column up here. The sleeping bag was the single most expensive item. Kind of expected that. I could have gotten cheaper ones, but I wanted something that was quality, and that's the M1949 with the M1945 canvas cover. So that's something that I can keep and use regardless. But the sleeping bag was $44.99. The sleeping mat was $4.99. The tent was $5.99, and the tent stakes 99 cents, bringing it to a grand total for sleeping of $56.98. our miscellaneous items. The backpack, $20. It's actually a Kelty child's carrier. The SOG duffel bag, $7.99. The stuff sack, 99 cents. Umbrella, $2.99. 2 rolls of jute, $3.98. They were $1.99 a roll. And the travel toiletries in that little plastic kit, $1.99. Grand total for our miscellaneous gear, $37.94. All right, let's get into the tools column. So what do we pick up at the secondhand store for tools? The axe was $20. Axe file, 99 cents. The saw, $5.99. Shovel, $5.99. Knife sharpener, which I haven't showed you yet. I bought a knife sharpener to go with it. It was $2.99. The magnifying glass, $2.99. The matches and lighter were free. Told you about that last night. Matches jar was 99 cents. Big flashlight was $1.99. Small flashlight, $1.99. Hand crank flashlight, for whatever reason, $2.99. Belts were $1.99 each. I used 2 of them, strapping stuff on top, and I'm wearing one. So I actually got 4 of them there, but only ended up using 3. $7.96. So the total for my tools, $54.87. So the grand total, including tax, $246.09. So less than $250. As you can see there, a whole lot of items. Everything you need to go camping. Now, my last trip was a lot cheaper. That's what was 2019, so 6 years ago. Inflation and the prices of everything has gone up, even stuff perhaps at thrift stores. But it just goes to show you that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to go out camping and have a great time. And if you look at thrift stores, you can often find some really great gear for some fantastic prices. So here is the knife sharpener I told you about. It has carbide here and then different ceramic sticks for sharpening. So we can take this, put it on a flat surface, and bring back a nice keen edge. Sharpen it on the ceramics, and we're good to go. And all you gotta do is keep it straight in here. And that old carbon steel, it's easy to sharpen and it holds an edge a really long time. The only thing you gotta be careful about is this stuff will rust. You can see some of the rust spots on there. So just keep it coated with some olive oil or bacon grease or something like that, and it'll last you for a long time. This is probably already well over 100 years old, and I'm sure it'll probably outlast me. All right, in those minutes that it took to show you that list, the coffee has been percolating, and we are ready for a nice hot cup of coffee. This is where these gloves come in really handy. Nice and black. Now if you'll notice, I kept the can. Of course, we're not going to throw it away out here in the wilderness, but this is a nice size. You can put it upside down and set it beside where you're eating, and it makes a nice little cup holder so that you don't have to set your mug down in the dirt, or here it is down in the mud, because it's a pretty nasty muddy day here. Now we're going to sit down and enjoy the rest of our breakfast. Spoon, beef, and a nice cup of coffee. I'm gonna let it cool down just a little bit though. It's pretty warm. That is absolutely delicious. I suppose what I love most about this Thrift Store Survival Challenge is that it really forces you to think outside of the box, to make do with items that you wouldn't normally use, and in some cases to find items that you would definitely use. And it's kind of surprising, again, as they say, sort of the luck of the draw, as it were. You don't really ever know what you're going to find. But I would ask you to, if you're going to try this, I would tell you should probably develop a list like I did for sleeping, for tools, for your clothes, for all of that stuff, and just take it with you when you go shopping. And as you find the items that fit, this is a result of multiple trips. I didn't find all of this in one trip, of course, but over the course of time, shopping at 2 or 3 different thrift stores, I was able to put together what you see here. That's some black coffee, I'll tell you. Well, I'm going to finish breakfast and we'll get back with you. Well, we're just about done here today, but there's something else that I purchased that wasn't on the list, and I want to show it to you. I think you'll really like it, and something that's old school, and something that can help us get some food. But I want to show you that old fishing pole again, and I didn't have the tackle box included. It's with me, but I didn't have the price on. I want to show you what's in there, and just, again, just to prove that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get out in the backcountry and have a good time. You can get a little better view of one of the large bends in this creek that we have here. It's not super deep, but it is pretty wide. And so right in here, it's probably, oh, I don't know, 35, 40 feet wide, something like that. And I've gotten some bass out of there about that long. Smallmouth bass, a lot of other things. Doesn't mean the fish will be biting today, of course. So this is the old fishing rod and reel. I said I showed this to you yesterday. It's an old steel rod. I did go ahead and put a hook on there. And then this is the tackle box that I purchased. And the tackle box was $2.99. But I also bought another tackle box. It was a smaller set at a different store. And it was a Goodwill, I believe. This one came from the Salvation Army store. And so what we have here is we have a decent amount of fishing gear. So this top opens up, this, and we have some fishing lures. Little fish there, they're kind of tangled up. Some artificial worms, some pieces of cork. Here is just a spoon type spinner with a treble hook. One extra hook here. A little bag with some swivels in it. Here are some hooks that have weights attached. And a couple more weights up in there. Some sinkers. In the next level, we have a stringer if we want to keep the fish. Have some tags for fishing, some little artificial bait, some more worms. And then down inside the box, we have the rest of the cork float that I bought. This is actually for a large fishing net. So I just split it apart and took part of it. It has a couple of metal Y sticks. Put these in the ground so you can brace your rod on the fishing bank. It also has a small fish gaff for larger fish, and then an old metal stringer with an extra cord so you can tie it off to the bank or to a tree, as well as it says 700 yards of 10-pound test. I don't know how much is actually on there, but we do have some old fishing line already on the fishing pole, and so we're going to use that. So because it's so wet, we should be able to find some earthworms under this old fire ring here. Ah, yeah, sure enough. All right, there's one, and there's another one, a little red worm. It's trying to escape. Let's see what we can find over here. All right. Well, that's not too bad. Got a couple little worms. I know there's some night crawlers around here too. I turn over some old logs and stuff, but this will be enough to start with. As far as the float, I just tied a piece of cork onto it. There's our worms. All right, let's see if we got something here. Well, there's something down in there. Aha! That didn't take long at all. There you go. So, it's not a very big fish, but it's a fish. All right. Well, we're not going to be eating him today, so take this hook out, put him back in. I know there's plenty of fish in this creek. I've caught a bunch out of here. Most of them are rather small, like that one, and that's why you want to use a really small hook, not a whole lot of weight, and just a very, very small bobber, in this sense, a small piece of cork. Well, let's see if we can catch another one. Of course, we were going to stay here long term. You know, we could get enough of these small fish, just little panfish, that, you know, we could have a good meal. All right, we've got our cork down in there. I don't know if you can see it. Floating right there. This looks like a piece of dead wood, so it's a little bit hard to see maybe. Oh, something's toying with it. Oh, I think it got my bait. Let's see. Well, not quite, but there's not a whole lot left. I'm gonna go see if I can get some more worms. These old rods and reels, they work a little different than some of the modern casting reels. All right, I think that's about enough. I'm actually using this like you would a cane pole. Not exactly how you're supposed to do it, but it should work. All right, that did pretty good. Well, that one's got a little more fight to it. All right. There you go. Like I said, you can catch these all day long here. And that one was just barely hooked, so that's pretty good. Now, something that may not be as apparent is this bank here. We're about 4 or 5 feet from the water. It doesn't maybe look like it on camera, but there's a pretty steep embankment. I mean, you could slide down it, and then it's just right into the creek. So I'm kind of having to stand on the edge here and fish, but it actually may be more like 6 or 7 feet down from right here. All right, let's see if we can get it out there. Catch a big one. All right, maybe I caught the only 2 fish that were in here. Or maybe they went back and told all their buddies. Of course, if you know anything about fishing, you know that that happens a lot. You'll be catching them, and then all of a sudden, it's like somebody flipped a switch, and they just stop biting. Not necessarily. Now that one is small. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, and if you were surviving, this would be something you could definitely use. And actually, you would maybe use this for bait. So we're not going to keep him though, of course. I've just had a huge meal, and we're just doing this for fun. So just going to catch and release them. But anyway, just goes to show you what you can do with thrift store items. If you keep your eyes open, you can even find some really cool antiques like this old fishing rod and reel. And I was pretty happy when I saw it there. I just grabbed it and I said, well, that one's going home with me. So there you go. 3 fish in about 10 minutes, probably not even that much. And part of that time was spent looking for worms. And I could sit in here all day and catch a bunch of those. I know there's some larger fish in here. Probably if I got to using the lures, would want to do that. You do have to be careful. There's a lot of rocks. It's a very rocky bottom creek, so you want something that's going to stay closer to the surface. You can troll it along. Of course, it's a little harder to do with these old bait caster type rods. But anyway, it works pretty good. This one actually is branded Ocean City right here on the crank. So let's see, it's a number 81. That's what it says on the side. So I didn't look it up. I just know it's an old, cool fishing rod and a lot of fun to use. All right, well, fire's put out and we have the pack all packed up and ready to go. Kind of see what that looks like from all the angles. It is a bit of a heavy pack, but again, we don't get to pick super lightweight gear when we're buying stuff at a thrift store. Well, I appreciate you going along on this little trip. I hope that you've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. It was definitely challenging, but I had all the stuff that I needed. My plan worked out in spite of the rain. We're well fed, we're well rested, and it's time to hit the trail and head back home. Of course, I always have to come back for the camera. This is James Bender for WayPoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure and check out the links in the description box below just under the More button. While you're down there, you'll find the waypointsurvival.com link where you can sign up to take survival and bushcraft classes at our beautiful training facility here in Southern Ohio. You'll also find the link for our WayPoint Survival digital class. This is where you can sign up and train in the safety and security and the comfort of your own backyard, the top 20 skills that we consider to be the most important for our Phase 1 Survival and Bushcraft class. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.